Hello everybody, my name is Daniel Hill. I'm an EFT and NLP coach. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, I'm a life coach, and I'm an Enneagram mentor, and I work internationally. So I have clients locally as well, but up and down this country. I'll see people on Skype, as well as throughout the entire world. So I have worked with a number of people who've got multiple sclerosis, and their physical health has improved. And what we do, as I mentioned on my website, please note that I do not diagnose or claim to cure any illness. Instead, clients and I simply address deeply withheld emotional issues within a therapeutic setting, which mind-body connection theory suggests may greatly influence ourselves in the healing of disease. When I was studying NLP in London on Harley Street, 11 and a half years ago now, this was one book that got into the attention of my mind, and it was a double-page spread in the Daily Mail. That's called The Healing Code by a man called Dermot O'Connor. There's a quote by Paul McKenna at the bottom of the book. People may have heard of Paul McKenna, probably Britain's most famous hypnotherapist. This was at a time when Paul was doing a lot of self-development work, having moved away from stage hypnosis in the late 90s, early 2000s. So this book is about one man's amazing journey back to health and his proven 5-step plan to recovery, it says there. And I remember being fascinated because I was terribly, terribly ill with NE. It stands for myalgic encephalitis. But it means, it's another name, it's a misname actually really for chronic fatigue syndrome. So I was tired all the time and I had fibromyalgia and loads of other autoimmune disease, which was so crippling I was hospitalised for a month and I nearly took my life, aged 30, and went on a massive healing journey, and it's a long, long time away from where that once was because I'm now 43. This was a really, really good book. It has Taking Charge of Your Emotions in it. That's one part of it, and which really is about using, I think that's to do with tapping, and although he's using TFT, which is thought field therapy, where I use EFT, which is emotional freedom techniques, they're pretty much the same thing. Purists will tell you they aren't, but I will say they are. Psychology of health recovery, which incorporates a lot of NLP. You can see I put stuff in there when I was on my healing journey. And he talks about his own healing journey here. So let's look at this mind-body connection theory, which I got heavily into and still am heavily using it. I use it all the time when I work with clients with serious disease. So, okay, let's go. This is my top book, which I use, which is $129 from the state, which is called Messages from the Body. And what it says is multiple sclerosis, and it's written by, I think he's an Enneagram type 5, this guy here called Michael J. Lincoln, and of multiple sclerosis, and I hope I will be okay just by using a tiny little bit of this and it won't infringe on copyright. It says multiple sclerosis, loss of nerve endings resulting in weakness and incoordination, often leading to immobilization ultimately. It says, it gives 1, 2, 3, 4 things. And 95% of the time when I'm working with people, this is spot on, this book. It's absolutely brilliant. It says, hardening of the attitudes, they're being forced to look at things they've never looked at before. They have to live life for the moment and to be crystal clear about what they have and what they can't. They have an iron will, and they are intensely inflexible. That comes commonly through all of the stuff. And something that hasn't ever been written about is that I've perceived, not all, but a great deal can be Enneagram type 1s who go on if there's emotional stuff still rattling around in the unconscious that causes the person to be completely inflexible. I've seen a lot of people with 1 wings, so it might be a 9 with a 1 wing, it might be 2 with a 1 wing, it might be a 4 that's gone into 1, it might be a 7 that's moved to 1 in stress. I've seen that so many times and I've never even seen it written. Never seen it down. You know, you look at Enneagram type 1, multiple sclerosis, you won't see it anywhere. It's just something that I've observed over the years just by treating clients, and it was, wow, that's incredible. Why has nobody ever mentioned that before? There are certain illnesses that will be attributed to certain really unhealthy Enneagram types. So the Enneagram is something that I use when I work with clients, almost every client, unless it's like a flying phobia or it's a fear of the dentist or fear of before an operation or something like that. When I'm working on my 5-session package, I always use the Enneagram because that's the part which I call about mastering psychology. There's no quick fixes. I'm not saying you can have 5 sessions and be over serious disease. It's part of the recovery when you're working this way. And if we looked at Dermot's book, there are parts of the book. So it's about understanding and taking charge of your mind, using the unconscious mind to heal the body. Well, why does the unconscious need healing? It's because the unconscious has got all of this stuff, this emotional stuff rattling around up there, which causes it to be in a state of permanent unease or dis-ease. Hyphenate the word dis-ease. And when I'm working with somebody, we're always working on past stuff, because the mind, we're working on present stuff as well, and maybe future, but usually past stuff, because that's where the traumas and the limited conditioning occurred, which said that the world cannot be as expansive as you'd like it to be. Hence, the tendency for inflexible thinking, because it has to be done the right way. There's that iron will. So that's one book here. So we've got hardening of the attitudes. We've got exploitation rage. They feel like they've been forced to undertake hard physical work or its equivalent in energy output against their will. They feel there is no support or assistance and that they have to sustain everyone all by themselves. They hate it and they desperately want help and support. It's more about this, and I'm reading it very quickly, really. Gotta take care of it myself. They're into severe martyr tripping, guilt-inducing and massive control tripping. They're the real thing about reforming and reforming things. They are very rigid and moralistic. That's very unhealthy in type 1 territory. Lost my place, with a steel-reinforced value system and a fixed way of looking at the world and of things. They are fearful that if they don't take a personal hand at things, it will all go to hell in a breadbasket. Self-straight-jacketing, they are fearful of being free and they are terrified of their true feelings. They are repressing their emotions and they are therefore trapping themselves into immobilization and muscular atrophy. It goes on and on and on. I'm not going to go any deeper there. We've got that one, and I usually cross-reference it with this one, which is a book called The Mind-Body Work. In fact, we've got Louise Hay here. That's usually the last one that I look at. I really like this one. I've got loads of these books, and there's so many different kind of schools of thought, but this is what we call mind-body connection theory. And with this, it says inflammation of the sheath surrounding the nerve tracts in the brain, spinal cord. MS affects the whole body, but can come and go at times. This can involve the martyr syndrome, a sense of having to carry on to work without support or help when there is really a desire to collapse or resistance to taking responsibility. Fixed attitudes and mental patterns lead to an inability to cope or flow with change. Also, see page 17. Soft tissue. As the soft tissue reflects our attitudes, behaviour, experiences, and hidden mental patterns. So we can look to it as a barometer, a way of measuring where we are at ourselves. We can see where our soft tissue expresses the movement within us, as well as conflicts and confusions. For instance, if we experience a negative or painful situation, then related muscles will simultaneously be simultaneously tensing or twisting. Okay, that's enough about all of that. If you're interested in free consultation, I'm delighted to do that. Do 20-minute free consultations all over the world, and we're just looking at one part of gaining control, because it's always usually the control types on the Enneagram that I have as clients, and hey ho, guess what? Multiple sclerosis. It can be true with Parkinson's disease, but not all. For example, Adolf Hitler was an Enneagram type 6-5, like I am, although I'm more like Bruce Springsteen, who was an Enneagram type 6-5 than Hitler. But Hitler, towards the end of the war, had his arm behind his back to hide it from the shaking. And Parkinson's disease is a lack of, it's very similar in as much as it's not hardening attitudes, it's the fact that you've got to control and be controlling of everything and everyone. And where's the joy in that? And we produce dopamine when we're in states of joy. And such a client who has a Parkinson's disease has a very limited reality, and they have to be in control of everyone and everything. Otherwise, they'll go to hell in a breadbasket. So that's why all of these tools that I use from and I do so many different things. I advertise on my website that I just do EFT, NLP, clinical hypnotherapy, I do Enneagram mentoring, life coaching. I do a whole load more, but if I put down all what I did, people would be lost and wouldn't really know what it is that I do. So the simple thing is I help people to get in more of a state of ease, they feel more resourceful, and they feel more happy. And as a result of that, the body often will do what it's designed to do over time, and that is to heal itself. I'd also like to add that the original EFT video that Gary Craig offered the world about 10 years ago, which sadly he asked to not be public anymore, but you can still find that video. I'm not going to go into all the politics around that, but there's a brilliant recovery story of somebody who had multiple sclerosis and used EFT, and talks a little bit about their recovery and how they don't have it anymore. If you have it or know someone who has it, I'm not saying there's a quick fix answer. There's not. It's serious disease. My recovery journey took years and years. But there is a way out with all illness, and I've got a video series on inspirational stories if you look on my YouTube channel, and there's people there who were once wheelchair bound and now aren't. My story's on there, and there's a girl who I met on my journey who was given a terminal diagnosis of cancer twice in her life and recovered and is still here. Never been researched by cancer research, go figure. But it is amazing what the body can do. And it's amazing what the mind can do to the body.